Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take a look here at Solana, see what's going on. $130 at this rising wedge type of breakdown pattern here. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm not proposing we see the ground floor from Solana, but I can tell you I still feel like we're going to see that 120 range, that low 120s, if Bitcoin loses its current price point. And I am expecting Bitcoin to pull back. I feel like this it's just too good to be true. It's a bit of a trap, and call me wrong or crazy, but even though all the TA kind of tells us we're going to go higher, it would make a lot of sense to see one last little sweep down there for that lower area of liquidation and support for Bitcoin. If that happens, I do personally feel like we're going to see a similar for Solana. It should be the last leg down before the next leg up. That's my speculation, but I hope I'm wrong. We're right there at that point of control here, right about 130. So there's a lot of support in the current range. Just know if we lose this range, there is likelihood of further downside to likely sweep that CME gap. And in case you're not familiar, there is a CME gap between 122 and 127. So just know that exists, and that's a thing. Take a look at the back end data. Let's go ahead and double check a few things here. See where the liquidation's piling up here. And if I recall correctly from yesterday, there was a decent amount just above and below, which is roughly the same. There's not much has changed here. Yeah, so that 135 to 138 range is that potential area to be swept above. And then 127 to 124 here based on liquidation, or 122 for that CME futures gap. Decent chance we do see that low area retested as well, just because we're once more in that lower range. Okay, so the closer you are to liquidation areas, the more likely they are to continue to go in that direction. So just bear in mind here, when liquidation delta, like we're seeing here, is still remaining pretty high, that does decrease the odds of the price pulling back, but also kind of increases it too, because it gives incentive for the whales to destroy any late longs who just got in at 130 to 135. They're currently underwater right now. So being a breakout trader just kind of proves to be not beneficial whatsoever, and I don't recommend it. And as you can kind of see here from open interest, there's a heavy open interest at 130, 133, but there's a pretty big gap between there and the 124 to the 120 range. So that kind of implies that we don't have a lot of buying pressure in that area, and more likely than not, we're going to see the price continue lower because of that. So those are just little things to kind of be mindful of. Is it like the exact science, and is it going to, is the price going to drop because of that thing? No, it's more the effect, not the cause, but it is still something to be aware of. So take a look at the daily time frame. Having difficulty crossing over that 50-day SMA, but we're over the 20. So short-term beneficial scenarios here for both Bitcoin and Solana, mainly because Bitcoin has broken its descending trend line, but it hasn't established higher lows yet. Or higher highs rather. It has higher lows and higher highs in smaller time frames, but from a macro perspective, it hasn't broken through. In other words, you can see the same thing reflected here with this pretty significant order block at $143 for Solana. This is that area that we need to get past in order to feel really confident knowing that we've broken our local high and we're establishing higher highs in the macro. That's what we're looking for. Between now and then, it's probably best to presume we're going to kind of have a lot of chop until Bitcoin really figures out where it wants to go. Okay, and tariffs stop too. That's going to be a big part of it. Unfortunately, we're probably a long ways away from that. Having said that, though, we can take a look. We're over 50 on the RSI, generally favorable. MACD's converging. We do have a stochastic divergence, which just kind of lets us know we're tentatively topped out. And if you count these candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, today's the 7th candle, potential doji candle, we're getting closer to an overextended state. So all in all, it's that's not super relevant, but once more, just part of what's going on here. And we'll look at the 4-hour time frame. We're above all moving averages. We lost the 20-day SMA just a moment ago, which does imply a tentative shift in momentum. We can kind of see that reflected here with this rising wedge pattern too. And this is not a perfect rising wedge either, folks. You got to keep in mind candlestick patterns. You don't take trades based on that solely alone, but it does kind of incentivize or tell you a little bit about what's going on in the smaller time frames. And as we can see here in the last 4 hours, we're establishing higher highs and higher lows, but it's starting to compress. And as you compress, the more likelihood we have of breakout, or either up or down. Okay, and it makes more sense for the price action to go down just based on us having difficulty crossing this 135 threshold. And it would make sense to hit this local support range of roughly 120, because that's an area of confluence with both volume and previous support and resistance. Okay, so those are all good things. So what I'm really hoping to see here is for the price to continue lower here. We hit our second take profit target on our Solana short, and then we effectively bounce from there and take a long in the 120 range. That's hypothetically what I'm leaning towards right now. Are we there yet? No. Is it going to change between now and then? Yes. So let's not just get too ahead of ourselves. But if we do take a look at the Ichimoku cloud here, and this should be similar to Bitcoin, actually worse than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is kind of testing its lower range on the cloud, kind of reinforcing there's potential support, where we've actually lost that here for Solana. So we're underneath the cloud. We have been for about 3 or 4 hours. There's a distinct probability we go a little bit lower here, once more to that 120, 125 range. Seems to make the most sense, specifically because we have a pretty big gap here. And then also, of course, with CME futures, we can recognize we do have that CME gap as well. So there's a lot of reasons I feel that we're going to probably see that low 120 mark. It may not happen right away, and it may not happen at all, but I think the odds are higher is really what it boils down to. And that's how you take trades, folks. You take trades based on statistics, and while it's never foolproof, the odds are in your favor to find success going to the downside right now. That's just the simple way to understand it. Now, is Solana still a strong coin? Yes, it's still performing better than most altcoins, but that doesn't mean you just blindly take longs with it because of that, right? We want to make sure that we get above our key level thresholds first before we consider some longs. And right now, I think waiting for a little bit more of a pullback would make more sense. That's just me personally. What are your thoughts? Why don't you comment below? Let us know. Love to hear it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow if you haven't already. Join us over on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And obviously make sure you reference our exchange here that we're working with, Bitunix. These guys are awesome, folks. Link down below. You get awesome benefit rewards every month if you use my link to register. And if you are part of my community, make sure you take advantage of this here. A nice little benefit here for the month. I look forward to working with you either way. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.